Every runner has a moment where it finally makes sense. Not when they got faster, not when they hit a PR, but when they realized running wasn't just something they did. It was something quietly shaping them. And it never shows up with fireworks. It usually appears on some random weekday. Your legs feel heavy, your mind feels loud, and you honestly don't even want to run, but you go anyway. And somewhere in that first mile, something shifts. Not words, just a soft click inside that says, all right, I'm here. Let's see what's actually going on today. People think runners chase clarity, but most of the time we don't find clarity. We find honesty. And maybe that's why people quit before they ever begin. Running asks you to sit with the truth, and the truth is rarely comfortable. Because the further you go, the quieter the noise becomes, and what's left are the real conversations happening between your footsteps. The ones that ask, what are you afraid of? What are you running toward? What are you running from? Cue that intro music.
Who says you need to fly to reach the top? Keep beating your block till your feet are hot. Get your head out the sand, join the flock. It's okay to run scared, we enjoy the lie.
Welcome back to the Ostrich Running Podcast. I'm your host, Nick Meraz. And today, if you're out there putting in miles, this episode's for you. If you're sitting on the couch thinking about going for a run later, this episode's especially for you. Today, we're talking about doing something different. We're talking about things that have been on my mind for months now. Sometimes these things that wake me up at 3 a.m. Things I think about every single morning when my alarm goes off and I have to decide, am I the person who shows up or am I the person I used to be? We're talking about why we show up, the voices we run with, the real story behind Run Scared, and what it actually means, where it came from, and why I say it at the end of every single post that you see on social media. This is perfect for a tempo run, perfect for the drive to work, perfect for whenever you need to remember why this matters. So let's get into it. But before we do, I'd like to get this first ad out the way and hear from our sponsors, us, Ostrich Running. Look, I've tried every electrolyte product out there, the super sugary ones, the ones with the gimmick salt, the tablets that take forever to dissolve. On a lot of these, they mess my stomach up. But Ostrich Salt, it's different. Simple. Just pure electrolytes, sodium, potassium, and magnesium malate in the ratio your body actually needs when you're sweating through mile 30, 50, or 80. I created this because I needed it. When I was out at Kodiak 100 running through the night, cramping was not an option. When you're managing 100 miles, you can't afford to bonk because your electrolytes are off. So I made something that works. No artificial flavors, no BS, just quality ingredients. And here's the thing, whether you're running ultras or you're just trying to get through a hot 10K without cramping, your body needs electrolytes. That's not negotiable. Now head to ostrichrunning.com and grab some electrolytes today. Use code SALTY6 to try your own 6-pack for $6 because you can't run scared if you're sitting on the side of the trail with cramps. So here's the truth. I don't want to run most mornings. There, I said it. The guy who runs ultras, who built a brand around running, who tells everyone that running saved his life, I don't want to do it most days. And I think that's the biggest lie we tell ourselves as runners. We think motivation is supposed to get us out the door. We think we're supposed to wake up feeling excited, feeling ready, feeling like a champion. But that's not how it works. There's this thing in physics called inertia. And an object at rest stays at rest. And your brain? Your brain loves rest. Your brain is literally designed to conserve energy, to avoid discomfort, to keep you safe and comfortable and still. So when that alarm goes off at 5 a.m. and it's cold outside, your bed is warm, and you've got 100 reasons not to run, that's not weakness. That's biology. Your brain is doing exactly what it's supposed to do, protecting you from the unnecessary suffering. The problem is your brain doesn't know the difference between unnecessary suffering and necessary suffering. It doesn't know that the discomfort of getting out of bed is actually the path to something better. It just knows bed equals comfortable, running equals uncomfortable. Let me tell you a story about today. I had a tempo run scheduled, probably about 8-9 miles, with the middle 4 of that being like a threshold pace. There's nothing crazy, standard training day, but I sat here in my office thinking about all the reasons I could skip it. My legs were still tired from the workout 2 days ago. I had a lot of work to do. It was kind of warm. Again, any reason to have an excuse would be an excuse, right? I could probably just skip today's run and give an excuse to my coach as to why I didn't want to go out and do this. Oh, I'm feeling kind of hurt. I have a bruise on my foot. I probably should, skip this day so I can really rest for the next workout. But here's what I learned. That voice is a liar. It's not logical. It's not rational. It's just scared. So I did what I always do. I didn't try to feel motivated. I didn't try to pump myself up. I just moved. I sat up, my feet on the floor, changed my clothes, filled my water bottle, and before my brain could even catch up, I was outside. And you know what happened? Well, I'd like to say by mile 2, I didn't even remember not wanting to run. But that's a lie. By mile 2, it sucked. By mile 4, it was terrible. By mile 6, I was cursing my coach. By mile 8, I was wondering, am I even able to handle this speed? And by mile 9, I got hit by an e-bike. All this to say that the entire run sucked. But when I got home and I felt my legs even heavier than what I started, sore and scraped up, there was a part of me that was proud. A part of me that knows I laid one more brick down. And we're always laying a single brick, a single brick, a single brick. And if you're listening to this on a race day, all those bricks have added up to put you at this start line. They are the reason that you're here towing the line and doing this thing. And here's what I want you to understand. Wanting comes after starting, not before. You don't need to want to go for a run. You just need to lower the barrier between you and the door. Now, science calls it activation energy, the minimum amount of energy required to start a chemical reaction. And starting your run, it has activation energy too. So make it smaller. Sleep in your running clothes if you have to. Put your shoes by the bed. I'm sure you're going to love that smell, and your significant other might even love that smell as well. Set your coffee to auto brew. I know that that's the biggest thing, right? Oh man, I got to make this cup of coffee before I do this long run. There's 30 minutes. Don't think about the whole run. Just think about the first step outside the door. Because once you're moving, inertia works in your favor. It's just physics. An object in motion stays in motion. And that's how you show up. So we've talked about getting out the door, but let's dig a little deeper. Because the real question isn't, how do I show up today? The real question is, who am I becoming by showing up? Now, there's a massive difference between these two statements. I am someone who runs. I am a runner. One is an activity, the other, an identity. An identity? Identity is everything. There's a researcher, James Clear, who writes about identity-based habits. And his big insight is simply this. Behavior change is actually identity change. Most people try to change their behavior by focusing on outcomes. I want to run a marathon. I want to lose weight. I want to finish a 100-miler. But outcome-based goals only work as long as you're motivated. And motivation, well, it's really unreliable. Motivation is like weather. It changes every day. Identity-based habits work because they change who you are, not just what you do. When you think, I want to run a marathon, you're focused on a future event. But when you think, I am a runner, you're focused on a present action. And every time you show up, even on the bad days, especially on the bad days, you're proving to yourself that the identity is true. I didn't always identify as a runner. For years, I was a veteran struggling with addiction. I was a guy trying to figure out who the hell he was outside of the military, being sober. I was pretty lost, right? And running was just something that I did. It was a way to quiet the mind so I could sleep at night when those nightmares kept coming back. But somewhere along the way, it became who I am. Not because I started running faster or farther, but because I kept showing up. Bad weather, early mornings, bad legs, bad mental health days. I kept showing up. And eventually, my brain caught up. The identity shifted. I wasn't trying to be a runner. I was a runner. And once that shift happens, honestly, everything changes. Because runners don't skip runs. Runners don't quit when it gets hard. Runners run. But here's the thing. Identity can also burn you out. Your identity gets wrapped up in performance, in being fast or hitting a certain mileage or never missing a workout. Then injury becomes an identity crisis. A bad race becomes proof that you're not who you thought you were. That's misaligned identity. And that's dangerous. I am someone who shows up, not I am someone who's always fast. Not I am someone who never has a bad day. Just I'm someone who shows up. Because showing up is the only thing you can control. And showing up consistently over the years, that's what makes you who you are. Okay, a quick pause. Whether you're running right now or just listening, I want you to ask yourself, why did I show up today? Not the surface reason like, well, I'm training for a race or I got to hit my mileage. The deeper reason. Why does this matter to you? Hold that reason. Remember it. Because when it gets hard, when the quitter voice shows up, that is what you're going to need. Now let's take a pause for our next sponsor, Alethea Runs. We spend so much time tracking pace, distance, heart rate, and all these external metrics, but we don't track the thing that actually matters most, how we're moving. Alethea is a sensor that clips to your waistband and tracks the force your body experiences when you run. Not just you're running 8-minute miles, but how your body is actually absorbing impact. Whether you're braking too much, whether one leg is doing more work than the other, they call it a force portrait. And when I first saw mine, it was like, damn, this is what's actually happening when I run. This is where I'm inefficient. This is where I'm setting myself up for injury. And here's why this matters. Most running injuries don't just happen. They build over time because of the imbalances and inefficiencies we can't see. You're overstriding. You're landing too hard on one side. Your form is breaking down in ways you don't notice until something hurts. Alethea catches that before it becomes a problem. You get personalized feedback after every run. It tells you exactly what to work on, not generic advice, but your specific issues based on your unique biomechanics. I'm not saying this lightly. If you're serious about running long term, this is the tool you need, because staying healthy is how you keep showing up. Head to alethea.run and use promo code RUNSCARED10 today. All right, welcome back. Let's talk about the voices. I mean, well, if you have some voices in your head, we could talk about that too. I know a lot of people who have them, and it's okay. We'll find a way. But I'm talking about the voices if you've ever run more than 5 miles. You know what I'm talking about. That conversation that happens in your head, the debate, the negotiation, the fight. And here's what I've really learned. There are 3 distinct voices, and they all serve a purpose. None of them are bad, but only one of them gets you to the finish line. Let me introduce you the quitter. This is a voice that shows up around mile 1 and says, "This doesn't feel good. Let's go home." It's rooted in fear, self-protection, survival. It's the ancient part of your brain that wants to conserve energy for emergencies. Now, the quitter thinks everything is an emergency. So don't listen to the quitter, okay? I know the quitter's there. Even the elites have the quitter voice, okay? It's there. Don't listen to the quitter. Now, there's a really cunning one, the negotiator. This one is clever. This is the voice that shows up around mile 6 or 7, or maybe midway through the race. It says, okay, we don't have to quit, but what if we just cut this run short? We've already done enough. We've already done enough. We can hit the full distance next time. It's logical, reasonable, persuasive, and it's a liar. Do not listen to the negotiator. We do not talk with terrorists. We do not negotiate with terrorists. At least that's the response you should have. Now, the champion. This voice is quiet. It's calm. Unwavering. It doesn't argue with the quitter or the negotiator. It just says, keep going. Now, it doesn't really show up until you've already pushed through the discomfort. Keep going. My knees hurt. Keep going. My lungs are burning. Keep going. I swear it's so hot and I'm about to run out of water. Keep going. But once you find that voice, it doesn't leave. Now, here's what I want to be clear about all 3 voices. They exist for a reason. Now, the quitter keeps you from running yourself into injury. Okay? I've had that quitter voice come through. And I think it's important to know what these voices are saying. I didn't want to miss out. I wanted to be green all the way through. I want my coach to see that I could show up no matter what. And then I had one day where I said, I think I need to take a break. I really got up to do this run, but my body doesn't feel right. I don't think I should be doing this. I think I actually really want to do this run, but there's this vibe that the kids keep giving me. And I think they just want their dad to hang around with them for a little bit. I'm going to call this run and I'll get back to it, right? The negotiator helps you adapt when things aren't going according to plan. Okay, You didn't really hit the mileage at the time that you wanted. You have a lot to do today. You really don't have time to be running this 16 miles and get ready for a barbecue and be with your family. I think you need to take a moment and understand that you missed the mark, and we'll finish up the mileage on the next one. The negotiator is correct in that aspect. The problem is when you listen to them at the wrong time, that's where these voices can be dangerous. Let me give you an example from my own running. Because if I describe this in abstract, it won't land. But if I tell you about the real miles, the real moments, then you'll recognize yourself in it. And this happens to me all the time. I'll start a run. The first 10 minutes, my legs are just so heavy. My breathing's labored. Every single part of my body feels wrong. And I'm questioning everything I've done. Why am I so tired? Why am I so out of shape? Dude, something is up. I really need to not be doing this right now. You're probably putting on too much, right? Fortunately, I have a coach who knows what they're putting me through based on my goals, based on my past performance, right? She's there for a reason. She knows. And I've learned to just not respond. Don't argue with the quitter. Don't try to convince it. Just keep moving. Because the quitter is the loudest at the beginning, and it usually shuts up by mile 2. Kodiak, mile 80, 20 plus miles to go. My pacer Cody's with me. I'm in the pain cave. Every step hurts. My quads, they feel pretty decent, but my ankle is hurting so bad. It is the worst pain ever. My brain is foggy. All of a sudden, out of nowhere, get this vision in my head saying, just lay down and DNF. And he came back louder than ever. Don't do this. Let them come pull you from this course. You're hurt. You need to not do this. You've already proven yourself. This isn't worth the injury. Just quit. And this time, this is the time the quitter is harder to ignore because it's not irrational anymore. It's not wrong. I genuinely felt like my ankle had a bad injury. The quitter was giving me an out. But here's the thing. The quitter doesn't know what I'm capable of. It only knows what I've done before, which is quit. And I'm trying to become someone new. Fast forward to now. I've completed that 100-mile Kodiak race. There was no outstanding injury. My ankle healed fine with no after effects of anything. So it's crazy to think about that. That quitter was so valid. It really told me great quitting points. Dude, you're going to hurt yourself longer than you'll be able to. You might not run again. It was wild how on point the quitter voice actually was. But here I am. I got the buckle. My legs are healed and I'm in another training block, right? Now the negotiator is the trickiest because it doesn't tell you to quit. It just tells you to settle. I had a run in the hills a little bit before Kodiak. It was, I believe, near Sanji Mountain, something like that. I thought I was going to finish this run in a really short time. Ended up adding like 2 hours to that run. And it was terrible, right? I just kept saying, dude, you've been out here way too long. You shouldn't even be doing this. Why did you think you were going to go this many miles? Just go back. You already did your time. But I had set out in my mind that I was going to summit. I was going to summit this thing. In my mind, I was going to finish it in the 3.5 hours. Not once did it cross my mind that I probably would finish it in 5 hours. Not once. Until I started getting further up the mountain, and the time kept getting longer and longer. I knew I wasn't going to make it in that 3.5 hours. This is going to be a long run. Keep going forward. Don't allow yourself to turn back. You said you were going to summit, right? The negotiator says, well, look, you hit your time. Just turn back around. You back off now. You're still getting the solid time on feet. You don't need to be a hero on a random Tuesday, right? And it sounded so reasonable, so logical, but it was a trap because the negotiator teaches you to settle for close enough, and close enough never becomes great. I used that mental training run from that day to help push me to the finish line of Kodiak 100. Not listening to the negotiator allowed a space in my mental training to push beyond the limits that I even thought I was capable of. So when the negotiator reared its ugly head at mile 80, I shushed him off. Now the champion is silence. The champion voice, it doesn't show up until you've pushed through the other two, really. At this point, I've been running for 34 hours. The quitter had tried, the negotiator had tried, and I was still moving, still putting one foot in front of the other. And somewhere in that darkness, I felt it. This quiet certainty, not confidence, not motivation, just knowing, Cody, I'm going to finish this race. At no matter what the cost, I am finishing it. That's the champion. And once you find it, you realize it's always there. You just had to earn the right to hear it. Let me say that again. You just have to earn the right to hear it. So here's the neuroscience, right? Your brain strengthens whichever voice you respond to. Every time you listen to the quitter, you make the quitter stronger. Every time you give in to the negotiator, you make the negotiator louder. And every time you push through to the champion, you make the champion more accessible. This is called neuroplasticity. Your brain physically rewires itself based on repeated behavior. So running isn't just physical training, it is mental reps. Every run is an opportunity to strengthen the voice that you want to hear. And the champion voice, it only grows through hardship. You don't find the champion on easy days. You don't find it when it's going according to plan. You find it when you want to quit. When you want to negotiate and you don't. You find it when you keep going anyway. And that's why hard runs matter. That's why suffering matters. Not because pain is noble, but because hardship is where the champion lives. So right now, on this run, ask yourself, which voice is present? Is it the quitter telling you to cut it short? Is it the negotiator telling you that good enough is good enough? Or is it the champion quietly reminding you who you're becoming? And here's the thing, just by noticing, just by being aware, you've already changed the outcome. Because the voices lose power when you name them. So, if you're running right now, take a second and just notice which voice is with you. Is it telling you to quit? Is it negotiating that pain that you're feeling? That it's okay? Don't judge it. Don't fight it. Just notice it. And remember, you get to choose which one you feed. Okay, so we've talked about showing up. We've talked about the voices. Now let's talk about why this all matters. Because Run Scared isn't just a tagline. It's not just something I say at the end of every post to sound tough or inspirational. It's personal. It's real, and it's the reason I'm sitting here talking to you right now. So let me tell you where it came from. You know, I'm a veteran. I served in the military, and that was my identity. That's who I was. I had structure. I had purpose. I had brothers. I knew my role. But as I got out, I had a lot of these invisible wounds. Things that I didn't want to face head on. And suddenly I didn't know who I was anymore. I became a person drowned in another lifestyle. Drugs masked all of this for me. That transition from military to civilian life is brutal, right? High stakes environments where every day matters. You're part of something bigger than yourself. Then I'm out there partying all day long with nobody to keep an eye on me, with no responsibilities really. Just go to work, keep partying. Go to work, keep partying. Keep partying. Keep partying. Have kids, keep partying. It all became so consumed in my life that I just had no more direction or purpose. The quitter voice told me to quit caring about the decisions you're making and just do what you want. It's easier this way. The negotiator found its way towards the end of my addiction when he said, well, look, you need to keep using or you're going to be very sick and you can't take care of your kids that are here now. Boy, is he cunning. I could pretend like I was fine. I could avoid the real questions I was too scared to ask myself. But numbing the bad stuff also numbs the good stuff. And eventually you're just nothing. You're just existing. You're not living. You're not growing. You're not becoming anyone. I was lost. Not in a dramatic Hollywood way, but in the quiet everyday way that's almost worse. I woke up, used, went to work, used, came home, used, partied, sometimes not even going to bed for days and days and days, repeated that. There was no spark, there was no purpose, no forward motion. And the worst part, I didn't even realize how far gone I was because I was functional. And I had always been taught and shown the way of being a functional addict. I showed up, I paid my bills. Yeah, I had jail time, but it wasn't really the rock bottom that I thought. I was hollow though. And a lot of us are finding our rock bottom, right? Some of us have a higher rock bottom than others. But it was when I realized that I needed to change something to better my life. I just had enough. I don't know. It was the step to go into sobriety, to change every single thing that my life had been for the past 12 years and do something different. And that was scary. I just couldn't stand being inside my own mind anymore, or actually not being in my own mind, being this shell of a man, right? I took that leap to go into an inpatient home, and it was scary. And again, the negotiator showed its head. Hey, you're almost done. 90 days in this facility. You can get back and go home and go do your thing. But I didn't give it a voice. I said, no, I need to go to a sober living home. I need to get this thing right. I'm going to do this right. I'm going to change everything about myself, and I'm not going to give you a voice anymore. And then I'm done with that sober living home, and I feel myself back at home, and I'm going to meetings, and I'm changing the way I think about myself by doing what I have to do and stay sober. But I realized I wasn't progressing. And some post came across my feed, and it was runners. And I'm seeing these people so connected to themselves, to the emotion of what they were doing, crossing a finish line of a marathon, crying, happy, proud. And it just called to me. I want to do that. I want to run a marathon. Oh yeah. Once you start unlocking the feed, the algorithm of runners, it shows you this whole other world that you never even knew existed. Now, I didn't become a runner overnight. It wasn't some inspiring montage where I quit drinking and started crushing marathons and turned my life around. It was slow, messy, imperfect. Days I couldn't even get past 10 miles. I believe it was so hard to even run a mile. But I just kept going. Not every day, not always far, but I kept showing up. Little by little, running gave me back what I lost. Structure, purpose, identity. I started caring about something again. I started showing up for something again. And every time I laced up my shoes and got out the door, I was choosing the person I wanted to become over the person I was scared of going back to. And eventually running wasn't enough. I needed something bigger, something that would demand more from me, something that would force me to become the kind of person I wanted to be. So I signed up for my first 50 miler, DNF'd. Signed up for another. Made it to the finish line, but over the allotted time, DNF. Third time around, I finally finished one. I became an ultramarathoner. Then I tried 100 miles. Failed. DNF. But I kept working and working because I had silence and took away the power from those voices. Ultras have become my new mission. They give me the same thing that the military gave me, something bigger than myself, a team, a goal, a reason to show up every day and do the work. Not because I wanted to, not because I had to, but because I was terrified of who I'd become if I stopped. And that's where Run Scared comes from. I don't run because I'm scared of the trail. I don't run because I'm scared of failure. I run scared of going back to the man I used to be. I run scared of the numbness, the aimlessness, the version of me that gave up. Running has saved my life, not in a dramatic movie way, but in a quiet, consistent way, mile after mile, day after day, year after year. And Run Scared is my reminder. We show up not because we're fearless, but because fear tells us exactly what's worth doing. So when I say run scared at the end of every post, here's what I mean. Run towards the thing that scares you. The distance that feels impossible, the pace that seems too fast, the conversation you've been avoiding, the life change you've been putting off. Run from the version of yourself that settles, that gives up, that chooses comfort over growth. Run because fear is information. It tells you where the edge of your comfort zone is, and the edge is where transformation begins. Now, don't run away from fear. Run with it. Let it fuel you. Let it remind you that you're alive, that you're trying, that you're becoming. And I'll be honest with you. I'm still scared every day. Scared that I'll slip back into old patterns. Scared that I'll lose the spark. Scared that one day I'll wake up and the work won't be worth it anymore. But that fear, it's not weakness. That is clarity. Because as long as I'm scared of going back, I'll keep moving forward. As long as I remember who I used to be, I'll keep showing up as the person who I'm becoming. That's Run Scared. So why did I start the podcast? Why did I build a brand? Why share all of this? Because I realized that my story isn't unique. And the thing that saved me, the simple act of showing up, putting one foot in front of the other, that works for everyone. It's not just about running, it's about life. Every person I've interviewed on this show, every single one, they all have their own version of running scared. They're all running from something, or towards something, or because of something. John Calabrese, Navy vet, alcoholism, 100 milers. Monica Gamble, chasing the Grand Slam while redefining what's possible. Manny Zubia, donating a kidney and still towing the line at Leadville. These aren't just running stories. They're human stories. Joe Proctor, being done and fed up with the life that he had given himself and changing every single habit that he had. Every single guest that has been on this show has a running scared journey. So I built Ostrich Running as a place for people like us, people who don't have it all figured out, people who are still working through their own stuff, people who show up anyway. And if you're listening right now, you're part of this. You're part of the flock. You're out there doing the work, showing up, feeding the champion voice, becoming who you're meant to be. And honestly, I am very proud of you for that. So we're coming into an end here, and let's tie this all together, right? Why showing up matters more than pace? So let's tie this all together. Because pace is just a number, but showing up is proof. Proof that you're choosing growth over comfort. Proof that you're feeding the champion voice. Proof that you're becoming the person you want to be. Fast or slow, good day or bad day. If you showed up, you won. Because running is as much mental as it is physical. And every time you notice the quitter, acknowledge the negotiator, and choose the champion, you're building mental resilience. And that translates to every part of your life. The voices don't go away, but you get better at choosing which one to listen to. Because bravery isn't the absence of fear. It's action in the presence of fear. Every time you lace up your shoes when you don't want to, you're being brave. Every time you push through mile 7 when the negotiator is loud, you're being brave. Every time you remember who you were and choose to become who you want to be, that's bravery. And that's what this is all about. So wherever you are on today's run, whether you're crushing it or barely hanging on, I want you to hear this. You're proving something to yourself right now. You're proving that your champion voice is alive. Your quitter voice hasn't won, and your future self is watching you take one more step forward. This is the work. This is the transformation. This is how you become. One step, 1 mile, 1 run at a time. This one's for the flock. Thanks for showing up. Thanks for being a part of this. I'm Nick Meraz. This is the Ostrich Running Podcast. And remember, run scared. Cue that outro music.
Bitch. Who says you need to fly to reach the top? Keep beating your block till your feet are hot. Get your head out the sand, join the flock. It's okay to run scared, we enjoy it a lot. I'm a nod kid, like an ostrich. I got a pod, kids, here's a topic. Blaze your own trail, don't be cautious. 2 birds, 1 stone's how I rock it. Can't make an omelet without breaking a shell. But the say grew up, now I'm raising hell. Haters gonna hate, yeah, they praying it fails. So put in the work, whether pavement or trail. The greats fell down, but they got to their feet. Run your own race, put this pod on repeat. Shake your tail feather, keep nodding your beaks. Ostrich gang, or you're not my peeps. Who says you need to fly to reach the top?